In this video, we're going to talk about how to start a political movement. It is easier now than it has ever been. There are more tools at the tip of your fingers than there's ever been in the history of humankind. I'm going to show you how it's done. Stick with me because I got a lot to share. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about in this video. Number one is the cause that drives the movement you want to build, how to create a groundswell, how to find influencers willing to help you amplify your cause, how to find investors willing to help you pay the bills that it takes to move that movement forward, and how you use political campaigns to give life to your movement. First question, what's your cause? Who are you trying to help? You just can't say, well, I want to go build a movement. You need a product, and your product is the cause. Now, that cause has to resonate with certain people. So if you're thinking about your cause, well, the first thing to consider is, who does this cause help? Who does it matter to right now? And who are the people who should care once they find out more information about your cause? So here's a cause that has begun, but it hasn't quite reached movement status in the United States. It's a universal law enacted by the federal government that mandates a certain amount of leave for new mothers. Some states have it, some don't, some are longer, some are shorter. There are a lot of people saying in the United States that we need to make it easier for people to have children. And that one way to do that is to make it a little less expensive and a little less burdensome to people who might otherwise have a child that they're putting off because they can't handle the cost of it or the disruption in their lives that children bring. So, hence the movement about some sort of safety net for young families that are trying to have children or would like to. That has become a cause in certain circles. My guess is someday it will become a movement and it will be enacted into law. But that is an example. Now, the people who started putting that cause forward said, well, the ones who are going to care about this the most are young mothers. And then they said, well, who are the others who ought to care about this cause? And they've enlisted help from other people who say, you know, that is a worthy cause and that is something that should eventually happen in the United States. Not for nothing, but most Europeans countries do that already, and whether you like that or you don't, the fact is, in a country with a democracy and democratic rule, the more people who are saying, yes, this is important to me, the greater the likelihood that this will someday become law of the land in the United States. One way to build a movement. Now, second thing is, how do you build a groundswell on whatever your cause is and whatever movement do you want? Well, you gotta let people know it's there. And you have to communicate that cause with eloquent language, and you have to make it explicitly clear who is in pain because this cause has not been enacted, or who would benefit from this cause if we started a movement to make it the law of the land, or who we would be helping. So when I say you got to put it out there and build a groundswell, well, guess what? You have these wonderful tools at your fingertips. They are called YouTube. They're called Facebook. It's called Instagram. It's called TikTok. It's called LinkedIn. Lots of ways to promote your cause. And I forgot to mention Twitter or X or whatever it's called this day. Now, each one of these social media tools has a different culture. They attract a different demographic group, but I'll just go through them a little bit. YouTube is for people who want to know how to do things or want to learn how to do something. But there are a lot of people on YouTube that pay close attention to videos about causes or things that interest them, including newscasts and so on. And one cute little technique I've seen do is I notice at the end of every day, MSNBC, Fox, CNN all have their news clips up there by advertising to promote your cause in those 8 to 10 minute videos put up by people, news networks that post their stuff on YouTube. Facebook is a universal way to advance your cause. And if you're really being smart about it, you can actually get a hold of data that kind of targets ads that you might want to put on Facebook that reach a certain slice of the demographic group that you are targeting. TikTok is video. It's for younger people, but you know, I saw a startling fact not too long ago. If you look at voters under the age of 35, they claim that their greatest source of news is now TikTok. So if you're trying to reach a younger audience, TikTok is one of the great ways to do that. Like I mentioned, it's Instagram, which you can also use to advertise to reach certain kinds of people. And I'll say this about LinkedIn. LinkedIn used to be just for people to post resumes and get a job. And I've noticed over the last few years, it has expanded into lots of other things. And the reason is not surprising. People who kind of congregate on LinkedIn are of a different socioeconomic class than you normally find on Facebook. A lot of them have degrees. A lot of them hold important positions around the world. It's kind of an online networking site for people looking for things. But every day I see political news on LinkedIn, and I see people promoting causes because what they're looking for are influencers that are already on LinkedIn to help them promote the cause, which brings me to Twitter. Sure, there are jerks on Twitter who post nothing but incendiary, silly stuff. But there are also people on Twitter who go there because it's also a source of news. Late-breaking stories, journalists tend to populate Twitter because they're looking for news stories, ideas every day they scroll through. And if you're really a Twitter junkie, you find that there are lots of people that post new articles as they come out in the New York Times or whatever it is you're reading there on Twitter before you actually see them in the newspaper. This is a place where you find also is a great place to expose yourself to opinion leaders who may have a following of 10,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 people who, if they retweet a post that you put up about your cause, suddenly you have a vastly expanded audience. Two other things I'm going to mention here. Every cause needs to become a movement, and every movement needs investors. So at some point, to help advance your cause, you've got to be thinking about, gee, as this thing grows and we enlist more volunteers and we enlist more people to help us promote this cause, either in organic or paid advertising, the more we're going to need people who have money that they won't miss if they give it to us to support this cause. So this is part of the avenue when I'm talking about as you use social media, that there is a part of your campaign that is devoted to increasing awareness of the cause. But there's a second branch you should consider once you have begun to build the groundswell, and that is using social media to actually ask people for money. There is a truth in this world. If you don't ask for money to support a cause or a movement or even a political campaign, there will be no money. Don't be afraid of asking, but you got to ask in the right way. And I'll tell you, if your cause is good, the money will find you. Now, I'm going to touch upon this, which in some ways is the most important part of this video. And that is the marriage of starting a movement and a political campaign. I'm going to illustrate this with a story. One of my dear friends in this life is a young mother whose name is Lisa. Lisa called me a couple of years ago and she wanted help with a political campaign in Alabama. Money was really tight. And we knew from the demographics that this is a gerrymandered district where someone with her party affiliation has absolutely no hope of winning. And I was candid with her. I said, what do you want out of this if at the end of the day you come up short in votes? And boy, did she have a good answer. She says, we have this grocery tax in Alabama. In some places, it's 11% on top of the grocery bill that people pay. 11% of their grocery bill goes to a sales tax, and I think that is obscene. And you know what? I'm going to talk about that in this campaign. I'm going to talk about some other things, but man, that one just really sticks in my craw. You know, if you're asking me what I want to do if I come up short is to let people know what we're doing to poor people in Alabama and how basically we've got the heel of our boot on top of them, because this isn't fair. Well, we went to work and we did a nice video for her campaign. She had the pretty website. She did everything she knew to do, and she gave it her all, and she raised a surprising amount of money. Well, part of that was when she talked about her costs, people gave to her that we didn't expect to hear from. But she came up short. But we had a last laugh in our phone call not too long ago. She says, I must have scared the bejesus out of that guy I ran against talking about that grocery tax, because the legislature just decided to cut the grocery tax in Alabama. Whoopee, I won after all. Okay, I can't go before talking about a free gift that I would like you to have, because it's really connected to the one I just did. It's a great video on how to become a candidate for the first time. Lots of people, everybody has to run for the first time. And basically it boils it all down in simple, easy to follow steps that you should follow the first time you run for office. You'll find it in the link below this video, and yes, it's free.